What up, y'all? Thanks for checking out my video. Thank you very much for subscribing to my Patreon. Your support means the world and means I can whack out videos like these and hopefully give you all something to motivate and inspire your hobby. Awesome one today. We've got a Thallax from the Forge World Sarum. As you can see here, there's a picture example. That's the only picture example we've got from the lore in terms of the Sarum Forge World, so I'm going to pick what I can. The nice vibrant red armor, the corroded brass trim and extra details. The Thrall is just going to have to kind of be a mismatch. It looks a little bit Mars to me, a little bit too Mars, but we're going to go with what we got. I really enjoyed painting these. It was a really nice, fun, quick scheme to execute. There's a little bit of airbrushing that you can substitute for dry brushing. Overall, I'm really happy with the scheme, and the fact I painted these two up in less than an hour means we can get our Mechanicum boxes painted up in no time whatsoever. So, leave a comment if there's any questions you've got. Otherwise, let's crack on with painting this Thrall and Thallax. So first off, we gave them a good prime with Colourforge Matte Black, the one and only colour prime that you need from Colourforge and any of its competitors that are subworthy. Then we're going to hit them with some of these Vallejo metal colours. We've got Burnt Iron and Dull Aluminium. I gave them a strong Xanathor from the top and sides with the Burnt Iron for our initial darker metal colour with a little bit of black showing in the recesses. From there I focused on the centre segments of the model, so the faces, the chest armour, the backs, and I hit that with the Dull Aluminium just to be that little bit brighter. In hindsight, you could probably up this to be even brighter, maybe a chrome or a silver, but you'll see how it looks now. Bright red from Speed Paint. This is how we're going to get that nice vibrant red. So I grabbed my airbrush and I tried to film this while airbrushing, which was good fun. I hope I didn't get any red all over my painting desk, but we're looking okay. A few light passes. You'll see me gradually bring up the intensity and slap it on there a little bit longer for a little bit harder. I'm really happy with how it came out. The initial kind of vibrant red orange I thought looked great. We lose a bit of that when we do our washing and apply our transfers and weathering, so it's better at this stage to go brighter than nail it to the reference tier we've got. So like I said earlier, go for a bright silver or a chrome for that silver, but if you like how I've done it, hey, copy it dead for dead. So we're going to do this all over the panels that we know are going to be red. We're going to get it everywhere, don't worry about that. We'll pick out the other metallic details later. For the Thrall, there's a lot less of this. We're just going to do it around his head, his chest, and that big kind of console panel he's got on his back. Again, you could be neater with this than I'm being, but I just wanted to get the colour on there and see how it looked. Then I got really excited by how it looked, so I was quite messy with it. You could be neater, but at the end of the day, if we're going to be messy, we may as well be messy now because we're going to paint over all that overspray later. So this red looks absolutely wicked. You could try subbing airbrushing for dry brushing and then applying the paint by brush. It should look okay. Up next, we're going to tidy up that silver with some Pro-Acryl Dark Silver. So we're just going to apply this to all those areas we want to be metallic and not oversprayed red. This is a really beautiful paint. It flows beautifully. You can thin it with a bit of water and maintain that really nice rich pigmentation. It's a really, really nice dark colour, which means we can brighten up later as we need to. So on the Thallax and the Thrall, let's paint all those bits silver that need to be silver. So here we go, that's balanced out the red and metallics beautifully, and we've still got that nice vibrant red. That's the important bit. Up next, we're going to do some of the trim and secondary colour details. So Runelord Brass, I normally steer clear of Citadel's metallics because there's better alternatives out there, but in terms of colour, this is bang on to the reference material. If you know a Pro-Acryl or an AK or a dark style colour that's close enough to this, let me know and I'll pick it up. But for all intents and purposes, this does absolutely fine for what we need it to do. So again, I'm purely following the reference material on the picture I showed earlier. I'll do a few bits on the back where I'm guessing it would be, but this is very much how you want to do it at the stage. Again, there's very little photography or pictures from the lore around Forge World Sarum, so we're just going to kind of ad hoc it as we go. So that'll do for the Runelord Brass. I feel it's suitably balanced stuff alongside the red and the silver. We don't want to overpower everything. Now we're just going to paint the trousers on the Thrall. We're just going to use some blue black from Pro Acryl. Really nice strong colour. You could use Cantor blue for Citadel if you've not got this. And this is a great colour because it's so nicely pigmented. It covers over that silver beautifully. And then when we stick a dark wash over it later, it'll look almost black with a subtle blue highlight. So it basically nullifies the step for us. I'm all about doing things quick and efficiently, doing as few layers as possible with as few paints as possible. And this is a good example of that. Up next, one of my favourites from Pro Acryl is Coal Black. It's just like the perfect black to use. I use it for pretty much everything that needs to be black. I did this on the cables, and I did it on the boots, and a few random little bits. Again, you could do it on things like buttons, random cables, straps, belts, whatever. I then used some Black Templar to do the visor of the Thallax, because that's, from the picture, looks like quite a nice glossy black. So I'll go in with some Black Templar because it's nice and thin over that silver we've got on there. And then I'll go over this again later with some gloss varnish. And as you can see here, I'm using the same colour on the Thrall's boots. Here we go, a couple of handsome looking chaps. That's most of our initial base details done. So now we're going to pick out a few extra details and start thinking about our shades. So brown wash from Pro Acryl. Again, Agrax hasn't been touched by me in ages because I just prefer this. It's just better in every way. I chose to do this instead of a black wash because I feel black would be a little bit too dark. And I want that nice earthy tone. And again, looking at the reference picture that I showed you at the start, there's a lot of corrosion around the brass, which then feeds into the silver. So a nice earthy tone instead of a pure black wash, I think, is a better effect. So we're going to do this on all the brass and silver details we've painted up to now. Trying our best not to get it on the red, but if we do, no stress, we're going to weather that later anyway. Mimicking this on the Thrall, again we've got no reference pictures for what a Sarum Thrall looks like, so I'm spitballing it. Most things I paint tend to be spitballed anyway. It makes for a nice, fun, interesting session whenever you're painting, and it's great when you can get a scheme down how you want to picture it in your mind if that's purely where your reference is, and then emulate that on an army to get an army painted quickly. So as you can see, I'm doing this on the blue-black, the silver, the red. I've also painted the long cables on the back of the Thrall and on the Thallax gun to his body in dull aluminium, which we used at the very start. Any bright silver will do. All we're going to do with that is, once it's dry, whack a snakebite leather contrast over on it, just for this kind of corroded, coppery, goldy colour. Just because it's a cable, I don't want to spend time on it, so let's just get it painted quick, and that will do nicely. Panel liner from AK, I've got dark brown here. This is wonderful stuff. It comes with its own applicator. You literally just dab it where you need to. Normally you apply this over a gloss varnish. I've not gloss varnished these because I don't want to lose my metallic details and my non-metallic details. It'll dull the candiness of the red, so I chose not to do that. It still works fine, it just means it doesn't have the capillary action of the flow if it was gloss varnish, but we don't need to worry about that. So in all the recesses of the armour, as you can see, all the nooks and crannies, I'll do a little bit on some silver elements, a little bit on some brass elements, just to push those depthly recesses. Then if you overspill or it makes a mess, you can tidy up with a cotton bud or a bit of sponge with some clean white spirits on it. Just gently drag it up and you'll tidy up any mistakes you make. But again, this does really, really great. Leave it to dry for about 30 minutes, and it's really, really good at pushing those recesses with minimal effort because of how the spirits in it flow so nicely and beautifully. Doing exactly the same on the Thrall. All those brassy details, we're going to use this to pick out. A little bit around his eye. Anywhere where we want to just push that depth just that little bit more. And as you can see with that cable, that's just dull aluminium with snakebite leather contrast on it. We don't need to do any more than that, because why should we? Bright Ivory from Procro, we're going to dot the eye of our Thrall. Could be a handsome little boy. Tiniest bit on your brush, thin down. And again, this is a testament to the excellent pigmentation of this Procro paints. Dot the eye, done. Striking Scorpion green contrast, we're going to do exactly what we did then, and just give that nice green lens to us. Now I think Mars is blue for its lenses. I did green because it affiliates more with the World Eaters whose lenses are green. Again, I'm freestyling. Barak from Darkstar, Barak from Darkstar is what I'm going to use to highlight some of the silver details. As you can see here, I'm just gently sketching some edge highlights on there and being quite fast and messy about it. I'll apply more to certain bits and less to certain bits in a kind of inconsistent, more natural looking effect as opposed to the clean, crisp edge highlights on every single surface, nook, cranny. I ain't about that. This is there purely to push the colour and add a little bit of interest. And again, the Darkstar paints are so wonderfully pigmented with their metallic pigments. They really, really do gleam and shine across the table. So we're just going to do this semi-sparingly over some of the metallic details we've got. You can do a little bit on the brass, but ideally you want to go for a brighter silver than that for that. Doing exactly the same thing on Thallax, but he's got a little bit more sharp edges around like his jets and his thrusters and his lightning gun. As you can see here, I'm using a scraggly old brush, not giving a lot of thought or detail, not giving a lot of care or due attention. We're just going to use it to pick out some details. The most important thing for me is the teeth on the chain bayonet and the kind of ridges on the lightning gun. And as you can see, that Barak does a lot just to push those metallics up just that little bit more to add a little bit more interest. There we go, he's pretty much done. Robo Roger here, what a guy. Robo Roger and Robo Robert. What a pair of handsome gents. Right, we're going to take some gloss varnish. I use Pro-Acryl, use whatever you want. I'm going to do a couple of thin layers, thinned with a little bit of water, just over his black visor again, to give the kind of suggestion that it's black and sheen and sleek, just to give it more of that semi-inhumane robotic aesthetic. Back to our Barak, and I'm doing this to sponge it on the edges of that red armour just for a little bit of weathering. I'm taking as much off as possible and just really gently dabbing it. Less is more, so it's easier to add more than it is to take it away. We don't want to undo all the work we've done on that red. So using a sponge, try not to get this on the black. If I get it anywhere else, who cares? It's going to be metallic anyway. And just really touching up that red just to give it a little bit more interest. They're Sarum, they supply the World Eaters, they fight alongside the World Eaters. They are not going to be pretty and pristine on the battlefield. As you can see there, it's just tickled them ever so slightly, which is what we want. At this point, I took my bold titanium white and decided to do some stripes on the shoulder pads. Now again, from the one reference image we've got, it looks like he's got white stripes and transfer markings or robo pack markings on his shoulders. So I'm going to try and emulate that as best I can. When painting stripes on shoulder pads, look for markers. So he's got these lovely rivets on his shoulder pads. You could cheat and have it inside two rivets. So you've got your markers there to do a really nice neat line. I chose to follow a rivet on the center of my stripe and paint alongside. The most important thing is trying to get them to emulate across the two shoulder pads, navigating the fact that maybe one shoulder's slightly forward because his arm's sticking out a little bit. Again, there's a science to it. You don't have to be so precise. Just do the best. So there's 2 layers of bold titanium white, nice and thin. It's a beautiful paint. I thoroughly recommend everyone check it out. I'm going to take some burnt sienna, apply it with a sponge just to really lightly scuff that white stripe up. It's not identical to the candy red, but it's close enough where it's more like a rusty red, where your eye's not going to think it's a different colour dramatically. And again, it just ties that white in with the armour. There we go. Now at this stage, I've not filmed it because I'll do a separate video on it. I decided to add some transfers. If you know transfers, you should ideally wear them once the transfers are on to tie them in. I went back and did that once the transfers were on. And here we go, here's the final result. So this is my take on Forge World Sarum. I'm happy with it, I think they look great. It's a really nice, quick, easy scheme to emulate across 20 Thralls and 6 Thallax and 2 Castellax. The conveyor is going to be interesting, I'm really excited to paint that. But this is how I would go about it. How are you going to do it? Leave a comment, let me know your thoughts. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Your support enables me to be able to do these videos. I'd love to do 3 or 4 a week. I want to have community saying what kinds of videos I film. I want to do a big project a month that you pick out of what the big projects are I've got available. All constructive criticisms welcome, or feedback's welcome. Once you've painted your own guys, I'd love to see them. Don't forget to check out my socials, the Unrelenting Brush on Facebook, the_unrelenting_brush on Instagram. I've got a website. If you need help with your commissions, any hobby advice, get in touch. Keep kicking ass. Peace!